Hey guys, Nate with Mighty. Hey, so recently I made a video on how to make custom interactive experiences for Rise using the interactive HTML block in Mighty and a custom GPT that I made in ChatGPT so that you basically could just go in and prompt what you want for that interactive, and this custom GPT had all the instructions to create exactly what you want for you. And I'll put a link to that video and to that GPT in the description of this video. But today I want to take that one step further. I want to actually talk about how to do the same thing, but in other AI tools. So I developed a couple of guides. One is just a getting started guide, and one is kind of a prompt engineering guide that you can go through that will walk you through how to get your machine all set up and make sure you have all the things that you need in order to develop these custom experiences using other AI tools. And then also a prompt guide, and that's going to have all of the key details that you need to include in your prompt in order to get the right output generated from these other tools. So I want to actually just jump in and get started and start creating a couple of interactives using some other tools. So we're going to jump into Claude and we're going to jump into Gemini and just make some really simple interactives similar to what we did in that other video with the custom GPT. The only difference is with the custom GPT, you really don't have to do anything other than tell it what you want it to build. This one, there'll be a couple extra steps, but it's a nice jump from that very early beginner to actually being able to do a little bit more on your own, have a little bit more control, and stretch those skills just a little bit. So I'm really excited to walk through this with you. And yeah, let's jump right in. All right, guys, let's have some fun. I pulled up on my screen these couple of guides that I built. So both of these will be available to you. They're going to be linked in the description of this video. The first one on the left is just before you begin, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. You can read through them. You can execute the steps. I really want to spend time just playing. But let's just show you what they are real quick. So the before you begin is just a quick overview of what you need. So obviously you need to have articulate rise and the Mighty extension, no surprises there. Just a few of the AI tools that you can use. Just a note that typically the paid tiers work a little bit better. You just run into less limits. They have better models. There's just a variety of things you can do. You can put images in them. It's a little bit nicer to have a paid version if you can do that. Also, I have a link in here for Visual Studio. This is just your code editor. This is free, open source. It's really easy to use, and it's just kind of a nice place to get started with a code editor. A quick note on file compression. So it's going to be really important, and you'll see me do this, that you zip up your file for the interactive HTML block, and you have the index.html file in the root of that folder. That's really important. If you don't do that, this is not going to work. Also threw in just a link to a live server. So in VS Code, there is a extension that allows you to just basically click a button in the bottom right of VS Code and it will serve the files for you on a server, a local server, which is great because you'll run into less problems if you just try to open it directly from the file path. Sometimes there can be some JavaScript issues and things like that. So this is really nice to have. We'll walk through this. I'll show you this a little bit. And then just a couple notes around, like, if you want to design some things, you can use Figma, Canva. And yeah, that's really it. So this is just walking through getting started. The one on the right is the AI prompt guide. So again, just talking about some of the recommended models, but the big thing here is a setup prompt. So you will always use this italicized part right here. And then you will add to that a variable part, which is describing the interactive. Also noting any learning objectives that you have usually in this description is helpful for whatever model you're using to really get it right. You can also add some visual prompts, so you can put this directly after your interactive description. And this can describe what you want from a UX UI perspective. And then also, like I said before, if you have the ability and you want to create some visuals, you can put the visual references in there by adding this visual reference prompt at the end. And then just a note again on some of the final output expectations around it being, either a single index.html file It is for really simple and easy way to do it. You can just put everything in one file. You don't have to do this. You can have it generate an index.html file, a CSS file, a JS file. It's just important that you have all of those in one directory with an index.html at the root when you zip it up, and everything's self-contained. But yeah, and then so that's the prompt guide. So both of these are going to be available to you via links, and I say we just kind of get started. So jumping over here, I have two AI tools up right now. I have Claude using Sonnet 4 model, and then I also just have Gemini up. I pre-populated these with the prompt from the prompt guide. So you'll see this is that setup part of the guide. Here's that variable part where we're talking about what the interactive will be. It's a matching memory game. I gave it just some basic details around what I want it to be. You know, it's for workplace safety terminology to help people retain important terms. And I just gave it a little bit around visual aesthetics, around modern, clean, easy to use. I didn't go crazy here. I just wanted something simple to kind of demonstrate this. And then I put the same prompt in Gemini. So I'm gonna run both of these at the same time. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna look at what it gave us back. And we're gonna turn these into some interactives for Rise using the interactive HTML block. So let's run these. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with Claude. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with Gemini. And I'm gonna let these guys generate and we'll see what it made. All right, I'm back. That was actually really fast. I forget how much faster Claude and Gemini are than ChatGPT 5. ChatGPT 5 seems like it's the slowest as far as a lot of these models go. I know it's because it's trying to be really thoughtful, but it's awfully nice to see how quick these are. So Claude did a nice job. It looks like it's given me kind of like a overview of what it did. So, you know, it did 16 cards. Here's some of the key features. Here's the terms I included, some of the technical details. So that's pretty nice. You'll see it rendered it right in a preview in the canvas, which is pretty cool. And then if I flip over to Gemini, it looks like it did things a little different because here I can actually see the terms right on the back side of the cards, but also it was very fast. So let's check these out a little bit. Let's start with Claude. So if I flip one, I get PPE. I flip another, I get risk assessment. Let's just see what we got. Hey, I got a match already. Lucky me. You can see it's timed, how many moves, how many matches. I have a restart option. Oh, actually, I saw that. Oh no, wait, what was it? Risk assessment, risk assessment. Ooh, I'm bad at this. There we go. All right, cool. This is actually really solid as far as a first take goes from Claude, and I'm not really surprised. Claude's maybe my favorite as far as creating these interactives. When I'm going to create one, that's quite often where I go. So this all looks pretty good, and it followed instructions really well. I mean, it looks like it's rendering everything good. Let's look at the code real quick. So it looks like it put everything into one index.html file. So that's great. Looks like this is all good. Let's try something. Let's ask if it can actually just generate a zip. Can you generate a zip file with this index.html file in the root? Question mark. Can I do that? Let's find out. I can't. See, this is where ChatGPT's got one up on Claude and Gemini because neither of them can do this. So this is where we're going to have to do some of the work on our own, which is really not a big deal at all because, you know, we have all of the code right here. I can get a download of this, no problem. So that's not a problem. I just can click download as HTML and I got it. Notice it didn't even name it index.html. So that's something that we're going to have to pay a little bit of attention to. But yeah, I have the file. Let's check out the Gemini one a little further. So what is this one doing here? If I click, Yeah, it basically just is backwards. It's showing me the terms and I can match them easy enough because it's showing me them. So that's pretty silly. Let's have it fix this. You flipped the terms and the logo and are showing me the terms. They should be on the back of the card when I flipped. Can you fix it, please? And this is what's cool, like I said, about I feel like Gemini or Claude versus using something like ChatGPT 5, which again, ChatGPT 5 is great. It's got a lot of capabilities and it's cool how it can just generate the zip file and do everything. But Gemini and Claude generally are a lot faster. Like, did you see how quick that was? I mean, I was just talking about it and boom, now we're back. Um, and now it looks more like what I would hope it looked like. Um, I am terrible at memory games, first of all, so this isn't going to go good, but I would like to at least get a match. Is this, hey, there we go. I can do it. All right, so it got it. See, this one's just not quite as clean, you know, it's not showing me how many matches I got. Um, I know I saw that somewhere, but who knows where. Oh, there we go. All right. Anyway, I can restart the game. It has the basics. I could keep chatting with it and getting it better. I don't think it's really worth it. You know, in reality, I'd probably just come over here and I would go with the Claude version. It looks a lot nicer. It's the functionality is a lot nicer, and it's like, I mean, this one I could just use really right now. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm also going to download. I already know that Gemini can't give me that zip because I have asked it before. You'll see I can refresh this preview. I can get to the console. I can see some of the things. I can go to previous versions, which is nice. And I can share here. I don't actually know. I don't use Gemini a lot, but I don't see a way to just download this file. I bet it can give it to me. Can you give me this as a downloadable HTML file, please? I bet it'll do that for me. Let's see. I can't provide a direct download link, but you can easily. Okay, so this is going to show that Gemini requires you to take even an extra step from Claude, where Claude can just jump right in and you can just get the download and you can just rename it, index, zip it up, put it into the interactive HTML block. This one is actually going to require me to create a file, which is fine. I can just cut and paste this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste this. I can just create a new file. This is VS Code. So this is what is in the guide to download. We have this here now. And I can actually just create a new file. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open a folder. I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to grab the Gemini folder. And that way I'm going to be able to serve this and test it, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to create a new file. And I'm going to paste that in there and I'm going to save it. And this is what I was talking about with that extension. See where it says go live? I can actually just click that to run this and it should work. Yep, cool. Now I'm serving it. You can tell I'm serving it because I have a local IP address. It's on port 5500 and it should all work. So cool, this works. We now have the file. We have it in a folder. I can zip that up and I can put it into Mighty. So let's go back here. This one's good. This one's good. I'm going to quickly throw the file that I got from Claude into my Claude folder. And we're going to rename this as well because it needs to be index.html like we talked about. All good. So I could also throw this into VS Code and test it if I want. No, don't really need to do that. I can just totally right click and compress. And I'm gonna have it right here. So now I have my Claude memory game. Let's go ahead and rename this to that. Memory by Claude. So I've got one that I'm going to be able to put into Mighty. Let's do the Gemini one as well, just for the fun of it, because we're doing this. Memory by Gemini. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Undo that. I forgot to compress it. Compress. Now let's rename that. Memory by Gemini. Doesn't really matter. Just got to get those files. All right, cool. So now I have both of these zip files available. And so if I go over here to Rise, I can actually come in here and I could create some new lessons to test it. Let's just create one new lesson called Testing Memory Games. Check. Add content, create a lesson. All right, gonna just add that interactive HTML. You guys have seen me do this before. You know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna browse, and I have a bunch of stuff. That's not what I want. I wanna go to my desktop. Let's start with Claude and let's bring you in. And boom, we have a workplace safety memory game all ready to go. And again, I always say, you can play with some of the embedded options, so we can make this full width. I didn't ask this to be built in that way, so there's really no need to do that. I am curious if we go small, what it does. Yep, it is responsive from that perspective, which is kind of nice. But yeah, here it is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save that one. And we're going to come down here and we're going to add another interactive HTML. Sorry, I don't know why I just switched toolbars there, but and browse. And now let's go to the Gemini one. Let's see if that one works. Works. So now we have created successfully a workplace safety memory game in Claude and in Gemini. Two pretty different experiences. Again, I think out of all of them that we've done from testing from ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, my favorite is going to be Claude using Sonnet 4. I know Claude has an even better model, but it's a more expensive tier, so I won't show that one right now. But this is basically it. All right, so just to summarize that, we went through these guides, how to get started, talked about getting VS Code, because you may need it if you're gonna have to create a new file and cut and paste or do any of that stuff. We talked about the prompting instructions that you need, so that should all be clear. We went through an example in both Claude and Gemini, which was kind of fun. And yeah, now you should have everything you need in order to start creating interactives using other AI tools. Just follow these guides, get set up, and play with the different models and see which ones you like best. And if you have comments and things that you really have tried and worked really well for you and you want to share with others, please leave them below because we would love to collaborate on that. So thanks everyone and enjoy your day.